Order, order! Well, I just want to welcome everybody in this half of the room and the whole pub to the first meeting. Quiet! We're making speeches. Right. Just want to welcome everybody to the first meeting of Concerned Residents UK. And you probably wonder what the heck is Concerned Residents UK? Well, it's a brainchild of a little group that was set up a couple of months ago to try and breathe life into the movement that started in 2017. And what we want to do is we want to get back to that spirit of 2017. So in 2017, a movement started. It was made of veterans and football lads. In Park Lane in October 2017, we had 70,000 people standing up for the little children that have been murdered in that heinous terrorist attack in the Ariana Grande concert. Now, where are those 70,000 people here now? And I want to thank every single one of you that's come today, and give yourself a round of applause for coming. But where's that 70,000 gone? And that's what we want to find out, and that's what we want to breathe life back into. But we want to broaden it as well. And the reason we've called it Concerned Parents is, I would say everybody in here is a parent, and every single one of us is really concerned about what's happening to our kids. And when I talk about kids, I'm not talking about just kids that are 2, 3, 4, 5 year old. I'm talking about kids that maybe 30 and 40 years old that are struggling with all sorts of stuff. And we want to help them. And we want to get this group together to help children, our grandchildren, and to build a better future and a better country, and a country that every single one of us wants to live in and will prosper and will last for another 1,000 years. So that's what Concerned Parents is about. In terms of where we got so far, we've got the website built, we've got a mission statement built, which I can hand out later on, or get you on social media or on email. So we've done a lot of the groundwork, a lot of the building blocks are in place. But without you guys, it doesn't happen. And I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. The football lads, the veterans, they're the backbone of this country. Good, working class people from all racial backgrounds, all creeds, all colours, and that's the sort of people that we want in this movement. The people that built this country, whose parents and grandparents stormed the beaches in Normandy, fought in the Battle of the Somme. You think about the Battle of the Somme, and how many of our great-great-grandparents died. You think about Normandy, you think about Dunkirk, and that inheritance has been squandered by corrupt politicians, by a middle-class media that despises us. That there's a bigotry in this country, and it's not based on colour. There's a bigotry in this country from the elite, the liberal elite, that rule us, that rub our noses in their agendas, and I'm telling you now, they despise us with a passion. They think we're children, they think that we're not responsible enough to run this country, and I want to tell you something now, we've got to get rid of them. That liberal elite has to go. And we wonder why we've got the beaches of the south coast of England getting stormed by people who have no right to be here. Everybody that comes onto those beaches in the south of England has absolutely no right to be in this country. They're coming here illegally. We don't know who they are. We don't know what the backgrounds are. We don't know what their intentions are. And the government doesn't care. They pay lip service to it, but they don't care. But you know what? The people in this room care, right? Yous care. And we... Exactly. And when we think about the grooming scandal, I spent 2 years with other people in this room and other people in our group working on the Rape of Britain documentaries, where we went to Telford and spoke to young girls who could be my daughter, could be your daughter, and the torment that those girls have been through. I can hardly speak about what those girls told us in those meetings. Some of them have been raped hundreds of times by these monsters. And the thing about it was, nobody cared and nobody did anything about it. They didn't care. Nobody cared. And let's be honest, all of us failed those kids. Because when grooming happens, action needs to be taken. It's as simple as that. Action needs to be taken. And if the government doesn't take it and the police doesn't take it, then other people need to take action and sort that out. And then we think about what's happening in the Honour Oak pub in London, and many of you guys have been to those demonstrations at the Honour Oak. And again, this is why we're called concerned parents. Little children being exposed to sexualisation. I don't want a drag queen reading a story to my granddaughter, and none of you do either. That's got to stop. And you know what? We're going to stop it. We're going to put an end to what's happening in Honour Oak.
A High Court judge said what they're reading to them children is pornography.
Fucking preacher.
Exactly. So these are concerns, along with many, many other concerns. Like I said at the very beginning, we talked about terrorism, we talked about what happened at the Ariana Grande concert, but there's other things as well. There's other contentions that are basically affecting the country. We think about the appalling knife crime among the black community. Black kids getting stabbed, getting involved in gangs, getting involved in county lines, getting involved in drugs. We've got to stick up for those kids as well, not just white kids. We've got to stick up for every single child. But we've also got to acknowledge that this elite that despises us is deliberately trying to divide us. You understand that? They want people at each other's throats. They want black against white. They want Muslim against Christian. They want Muslim against Jew. That is what the elites want. They want to divide us because if they think they divide us, they think they control us. We've got to come together in unity, and we've got to fight this together and fight against these people that are trying to destroy our country. And I also want to talk very quickly, and it does affect the children. If the Labour Party get elected, and it's looking very, very highly likely that the Labour Party will get elected at the next election, that will be a disaster for this country. It will be an absolute catastrophe. Now, the people in this room, we can actually stop that happening by voting for parties that aren't the Labour Party. That's one thing we can do. But as well as that, we've got to realise if the Labour Party get in, they are going to push back against Brexit. Brexit hasn't been done. The Conservative parties have failed. I would say every single one of us voted for Brexit, and you were right to vote for Brexit, and if it happened again tomorrow, I'd vote for Brexit again. We need to see it delivered, and we need to see it delivered properly. So anyway, how do we go about all this? This is one group, small group. What is the 50, 60 people in this room, and every one of you that's come here today, do you know what? It fills my heart with pride because some of you have travelled from all over the country. Some of you have come hundreds of miles to sit in this room and hear us talk about a brand new movement and a brand new organisation. Well, that's absolutely fantastic. But what can we do to make a difference? Well, there's a few things I suggest, and Kyle's hopefully going to touch on this a little bit more in a minute. We need to get involved in direct activism. And if that means that we start picketing migrant hotels where there's illegal migrants, then we do it. If that means where there's an explosion in sexual assaults on children, that we stand against that and we go out into the streets and we have our own citizens' patrols, we do it. If that means we get organised politically, we do it. There's a lot that we can do, and we need to work smart and not hard. And for a lot of years, we've all worked really, really hard, but we haven't worked smart. And that's what I want to encourage everyone to do. I've got some plans. We've got the websites built. I've got some plans of how we can actually politicise this without becoming a political party. What we want is a movement that every right-thinking person in this country can join, from whatever background they are, and they can join and they can start to build this country and make this country great again. Like Trump always said, make America great again. Well, this country is called Great Britain, but it's not very great at the moment. It's in a lot of trouble, and we need to change that. And the people in this room have the ability to do it. Thank you very much. I just want to introduce Nick from TP UK. Most of you know him from doing the demos at Honour Oak. He's a great guy. Their organisation is doing a great thing. And one thing that I want to say about what my plan is and what our team's plan is for concerned parents, what was called there for concerned parents, is to work with other like-minded groups so we can build a mass movement, and there's lots of different brands and lots of different people, because what this is about, it's about making this United Kingdom united, and that's why we've invited Nick to come and speak to us now, so give it up for Nick.
Cheers guys. So I did the little speech thing, make some notes and all that good stuff. Last 24 hours, been travelling lately, just making notes. Then I hear that, and I'm sort of thinking, what can I do? What can I say? What can I do? Because I've already got your hearts and minds, haven't I? but there's a lot of other people out there who aren't in here, and you've covered off on all of this. So I'm in this position right now where I've got half an hour. I could do this all day, right? Half an hour to win you over. I've already got you. But what about everyone else who's not here, right? So my professionally, this is what I do for a living, right? I do lots of different things. I'm self-employed, right? I do lots of different things. The culture war is a hearts and minds war, right? Last 1,000 years of history, you all know it, right? This is a hearts and minds war. So I asked Richard, I said, send me the graphic. So send me the graphic. So let's have a little look at this. Concerned about the nation's future, concerned about children. Well, the nation's future, that's quite a big topic. Concerned about kids, that's a pretty big topic. Concerned about immigration, my head explodes at that point. Concerned about terrorism, huge. Concerned about drag story hour, right? So, that's a lot. That's a lot. It's too much. The depression in my heart and soul every morning when I wake up.
Especially when they're being treated better than veterans.
I must be crazy to do what I do because it's too much, guys, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? So we can all make a little speech, but let's take a moment and actually reflect on the fact that it's too much for the soul to bear. We're going to come on to what I think is really going on in a minute, and hopefully, going back to what I said a second ago about what I do for a living, it's all education. Everything I do, it's all education. Yeah.
You're talking about kids. We wrote massive sexualisation of kids. These Muslims are out in the schools. They're saying,
Yeah, they get shut down.
they get shut down. But they are there. Where are we? Where are we?
That's not really more
Half our
action.
kids got cultural days next week. He's not out wearing a school. He's not out to wear a football shirt or an England flag for culture. Because they're all artifacts.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, when we can get together with the Muslims, the last
Right.
as was there, we've got massive.
If you've seen me talk at On a Road or anywhere else, my plan today, I've got a lot of questions for you guys, so I'm not nervous at all because I'm going to actually let you guys do all the talking. So I've got a lot of Q&A to go through, right? Because you've bothered to come, so let's find out what you guys want. We're going to go through all this. So I specialise in uncomfortable conversations. So if uncomfortable conversations was about the 90s, noughties, look at where we are now, right? So if it was uncomfortable then, imagine how bad it is now. I want to talk a little bit about 2019, the year of 2019. So I hear these stories from pre-19 about 70,000 this and 90,000 that, and Tommy did this and XYZ did that. That's fantastic. I decided to get back into politics in 2020. I won't bore you with my CV, my biography, but I got back into it in a very heavy way in 2020 because I saw what was coming with COVID and with lockdown and other such things. So, the 70,000 you reference, why can't we do that now, guys? Does anyone know why? Finances. What else? Labels. I'm looking for a word. It's a bit of a rhetorical question. Why can't we mobilise now?
It was the wrong people running it in the first place.
Good answer. That's the intellectual answer. But I'm looking for the simplistic, basic one.
Because it's easier.
Fear.
I was just going to say that.
Fear.
I was just going to say that.
So can we break down what fear looks like? What's the main word? Censorship. Cancel culture. Effeminate men.
Yep.
Browbeaten males. Don't do that, love, because you'll lose your job at the bank and then, oh yeah. Quiet life. Yeah? Talk me through the last 1,000 years about quiet lives. Yeah? Without men and without masculinity, this country built on what it's built on, why everyone wants to come here, doesn't exist without men being men, and that is driven by testicular fortitude and masculinity. Religion, Christianity, this is obviously a massive part. I say that as a God-fearing man. We'll come on to that later. It's fear that's the problem. So the silent majority that we speak of all the time, I love that, the silent majority. You know what the problem is with the silent majority? They're silent. And this is when I get really angry. They're silent. But why would you be silent? Fear. Fear can do two things. Any Marines in here? Any veterans? Right. Fear controls you, or you control it. I wake up terrified every morning, hand to God. Every night I go to bed terrified, and I fight every day. Doesn't matter to me, because I'm trained and I control fear. If you can, 70 million people in the UK, if the males are all frightened, what hope do we have? None. Zero. Censorship, cancel culture, ignorance, apathy, fear.
We're being dictated to.
Dictated to by the government, dictated to by liberal friends, dictated to by liberal women,
The media.
happy wife, happy life, stop me if I'm going too far. Men are men, duty first, happiness second. We're not here to be liked, we're here to be respected. That's the job.
Too right,
That's
too
what
right.
happens. If you are lucky enough to be born male, if you are, and it is an honour, guess what? Men die. You fight for your country, your land. And we're going to talk a lot about patriotism, flag, country, land, and I'll touch maybe on Christianity, because I don't think that's the... Unfortunately, there are certain things we're not going to mobilise on, and ladies touched on a demographic that we need to speak about, which is very important, and I've gone out of my way there, and I'll again, it's all education today. So first and foremost, big thank you to Richard for setting this up. Amazing. And I joined the firm about 2 years ago, so I spent 2 years Ukraine, USA, Italy, just got back from Northern Ireland. I haven't stopped, 18-hour days, same as all of you, understanding who's who and what's going on. So for those of you that don't know me, my name's Nick, and I'm the Chief Operations Officer of Sterling Point UK, which means I'm the most directly responsible for as head of activism for the day-to-day running of the operation. And we specialise in smart activism. What is smart activism? Don't do anything stupid, because why would you do anything stupid in a culture war that's based on winning hearts and minds? And the hearts and minds we refer to is the liberal centre ground, the silent majority that is effing useless, the centrists. Now, I've heard, I hear this an awful lot. What is it? Live and let live? Live and let live, and then they kind of steal the love thy neighbour bit and chuck it in there, which is bastardised. That's not how it works. Live and let live. It's just drag story hour. It's just gay marriage. It's just this. It's just that. Marijuana's not a gateway drug. No. It's open season in the UK because of liberalism. It is liberal mindsets. It is liberal brotherhood. It is, we did our bit, we fought, we did all that. More civil war than any nation in the world ever, more violent, more bloody, nastier, right, than anywhere in the world. Done all that, now it's time to be liberals. The centre ground, centrism. So what does centrism and liberalism actually mean? What it means is, pull your pants down, don't get invited out for dinner, and by the way, when we're done, we're going to go 10 times more, because you give a mouse a cookie, it's going to want a glass of milk. Because the human species needs boundaries. It needs things to combine. How can you have community without that? Faith, family, freedom, religion, whatever binds people, common mindsets, community, etc. If you aren't bound together, you'll all go back to your houses each day and go, I'm not going to that thing in Birmingham because I can watch Netflix, or I can do something else, or I've got my kid's football game. What, you mean you can't miss one game? But since time immemorial, a man hasn't missed his kid's football game one time to travel 3 hours. You're home that night, mate, don't worry about it. She's not going to give you too much of a hard time. So is it difficult if let's just say 70 million people, 65 million people, let's say half a million, right? So take out everyone who's under 18, for example. Are there enough men to go around in the UK to stand up and do something? Millions. Millions. So pre-2019, this is what we're talking about. Why not now? Masks, lockdown. It was beta testing. That's what it was. They wanted to find out how compliant we were. Okay? So we are surrounded in an environment, as you all know, of fear, of apathy, of ignorance, of weakness, of compliance. And the time to stop complying is not now, it's long gone. So what do we, obviously everything around what we talk about today has to be around, well, what do we do next? And I mentioned a minute ago about smart activism. So turning up, being peaceful, having a shout, having a chat, doing a little speech, holding up, exactly. Holding a banner up, helping out, carrying a bag, the speaker, the bag, I'm dripping in sweat, the honour robe, you know what I mean? Like, guys, can you help me out here? Back's, you know what I mean? Help. We haven't reached the big water thing to help people out. You know what I mean? We can do the high level stuff if you want, but what about low level? What about, Nick, how you doing today? What, you don't think I'm scared as well? I'm cancelled forever. Do you know what I mean? So it's not we'll do the high level stuff in a minute, but just smart activism is concerned citizens, it's concerned parents, it's patriots, it's common sense people saying Labour and Conservative are now two sides of the same coin, run and managed by the New World Order out of Davos, and it's a communistic agenda because communism at global level cannot work with communism at state level. And what prevents communism at state level? Masculinity, sovereignty, Christianity, family, faith, freedom. That is a conservative principle. Do we have any Labour, old Labour, not new Labour supporters in here? And by the way, there's no judgment there. Labour? Good man. Anyone else?
I would have been if I was.
Old Labour? I'm old Labour. I'm old Labour. Workers' rights. I'm old Labour.
Meant to be the working class party at one stage.
Precisely. Precisely. Yeah. So I had two upbringings. One was incredibly privileged, like our CEO Jack, and the other half, I was 13 years old. It went from the rugby pitch and fisticuffs to kids bringing in baseball bats, and that was literally overnight. That was my, and I was told to deal with it. So I had to switch from one life to another life. So start boxing, work, you wise up and all that stuff. So I've seen both sides. So I was part of the Constitutional Club back in the day, the snooker halls, the Con Club, the Conservative Club, social men, the golf club. I was surrounded by guys, men, watching my father as I grew up kind of thing. Laid blue, red, it stood for something. But now it's the same thing. So it doesn't matter what you do at the next general election. It doesn't matter. Are Labour going to get in? Probably. What, with a small Conservative? What do you want? Do you want a small Conservative a minority, or do you want them all wiped out? Do you want them all gone and then start again? What difference does it make? What difference does it make? It's the same thing. It's the same thing. New World Order cannot be stopped. We worry about what we can control. We don't worry about what we can't control. You cannot stop the global elite. You mentioned the London metropolitan elite, the Westminster bubble, yeah? Absolute nonsense, all of it, absolute nonsense. You've got a couple of good eggs in there, but who's right-wing in the Conservative Party? 3 of them? 2 of them? Do we still give Suella the benefit of the doubt? Do we give Kemi the benefit of the doubt? Do we give Penny Mordaunt the benefit of the doubt? What, the one who stood up and said that trans women are women? Yeah, and then Steve BLM Baker that backs BLM completely, with Marxist organisation. So I'm not here to discredit politicians, but my question...
What's the other option then?
So, absolutely, and I'm kind of going to jump sort of to it, but I'm going to start asking you guys what you want to see. So, thanks massively to Richard and to everyone else from yesteryear. So pre-19, can we all agree that, yeah? Pre-19, thank you so much. What use is that now in a post-pandemic COVID fear beta testing world? We're restarting. So at ground base level, I can say, right, everyone, bring one mate to the next one we do, right? So there's 30, 40 people here. So practical application, next one, everyone bring a mate. Okay, fine, cool. We have a reach turning point of up to 30 million a month globally, a small C conservative activist organisation like no other on the planet. Less than 1% support us at £2 a month. Why is that? Why don't they do that? Everyone, it's 5p a day. It's what £2 a month works out at. Quick math. What about you guys? Who supports? Do you know what I'm trying to say? Other people I speak to, other groups, Public Child Protection Wales, the job they do there is absolutely fantastic. Liberty Tactics, fantastic. Students Against Tyranny. How much money? Have we got hundreds of thousands of pounds? Have we got tens of thousands? How much money does all this cost? Coming up here, fuel, sandwich on the way, etc. We've all got jobs. So there's no money. Everyone's terrified to put their hand in their pocket. Everyone's terrified to do anything. And it's live and let live, liberal centre ground. What can I do? Because all the political parties are, effed. So you've got this mass population, the general populace saying, well, there's nothing that I can do. There's nothing left. Do we need more politicians? No. Do we need more talking? Yes. More, well, yeah, yes.
Talking amongst them, though, them talking amongst themselves.
It's a bit of a loaded question. We don't need more talking. Do we need more podcasts? Do we need more YouTube? Social media? Do we need boots on the ground and everyone supporting all the different intergroups? Be they students against tyranny, be it concerned parents, be it Turning Point, everyone, and I'm not selling to you guys, I'm saying just in general, this is the fight we're up against from an educational.
Country, get off her ass and fight for it.
Basically, something along those lines. So, how does liberalism breed? How does centrism breed? Does anybody know? Silence. Anyone else know how it breeds? Liberalism? Say again? Path of least resistance, apathy, weakness, effeminate males, acceptance. Media, what's the big one, guys? Political correctness. Yeah. Political correctness. In the 90s, do you remember the thin blue line with Rowan Atkinson? Yeah. They covered that in that beautifully. Do you remember? They did it beautifully. And Rowan played that part where, because he was superintendent or whatever, he had to tread that line. You know what I mean? This built up, I'm not saying it happened in the 90s, it was building up this hippie 60s shit, which I can't stand. Again, gateway drug. Would all this woke stuff be happening without the hippie stuff? Peace, love and harmony. Catalyst? I think so. 1940s, 1950s, still kind of common sense-ish. 1960s, everything changes. Peace, love and harmony, liberal, live and let live. Massively drug-fueled as well. So what stems from centrism and liberalism, I feel, is political correctness. And what does political correctness morph into? Identity politics. Can identity politics live without political correctness? I don't think it can. I don't think identity politics, i.e. I wake up, I feel, therefore I am, I don't believe that works without political correctness. So as soon as political correctness was on the scene, you could and couldn't say X, Y, Z, and it was done in the name of fairness, equality, diversity, inclusion, the civil rights movement, right? But what that movement, albeit benevolent at source, what it was doing was fundamentally saying to men, family, faith, freedom, what it was saying was, you guys could be considered sectarian, you guys could be considered a threat. But a threat to what? Sovereignty? Our way of life? Why would that be an issue? Because there's a supranational entity, there's a supranational governance called New World Order, or if you like, you can use the term globalism, that's coming in from up above to say, actually, if you get rid of men, if you get rid of Christianity, if you get rid of sovereignty, well, open borders, right? There's nothing holding you together. And I haven't even started on this, and how community has been built over the last 1,000 years. Going back to what I said before about what binds us together. It has to be one of only a few things that binds us together. Typically masculinity, men coming together and talking, defending. I've been to, when I was in Ukraine, Northern Ireland, I've seen how it works. There's a problem, it's dealt with. Russia, it's dealt with. And I'm not saying I'm pro any particular country here, but guess what? It falls on the shoulders of men. That's what happens. So you've got this political correctness nonsense, identity politics. What happens in the absence of war, guys? When war is absent? What do people do? You turn your heads to other problems. You're free. George Orwell, 1984, war is freedom, freedom is slavery, etc. So the absence of war, there's nothing to fight for anymore. It's all over. You're weak, lazy, apathetic. You saw what happened to Rome. It's the same in the West as well. But you can choose to go and train every day. You can choose to do your 5-mile run, to lift weights, eat red meat, whatever. I presume there aren't too many vegans in front of me. It's all a scam, like drinking soy. It's all BS. It's all nonsense. I'm not going to go down any conspiracy theory route about fluoride in the water and chemtrails, because that's not for now, okay? And it's a waste of time talking about it, as is certain other things. But these are small things that as a man I live my life by. I don't want to train, I go train. I don't want to box, I do it anyway. Because I need to stay sharp, I need to stay on top of what I'm doing. I eat red meat all the time, because I know what my iron requirement is, my micro requirement is. So I'm not saying that you guys don't do that, but I'm saying this is what's happened to the centre ground, because it's liberal, right? So you've got your boredom factor, your absence of war, I'll just reel these off, you've got your weakness, your apathy, effeminate males, beta males. Is this all control and radical? Linking this to schools now, parents that have children in schools. Is it all control and radicalism that's happening at school level, or is it actually more satanic and evil? Which one is it? It's satanic. It's
The
satanic.
majority of parents aren't asking questions.
It's satanic.
Yeah.
So let's link this up, guys, and stop me if I'm, do you know what I mean? Right? So it is satanic. It's not authoritarianism. It's not fascism. It's not totalitarian. It's satanic. It is the devil's plan. Right. So who stops that? Men. Parents of kids in school, and I'm talking about transgenderism, which I'm about to come on to. So what percentage of men who have children in school, who when little Jimmy brings home his report, or you've all seen the screenshots, you've all seen the exposés, gender fluidity, pronouns, the slippery slope stuff, breast binders, puberty blockers, these are all things that come later. But it's the suggestion at source, pronouns this, you might not be that, identity politics, feelings versus facts. The first time as a parent that somebody hears that, there should be a protest or a letter or action or something against the school. But I don't believe that's happening. But why?
Because we can't. We can't. If you take your kid out of school, you get fined.
So they've actually made it illegal. They've now said that if you homeschool, if you decide to homeschool past a certain age,
If you take your kid out of school, you get fined, you get banged up in jail, or you pay some more to what you do.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you do?
they're putting homeschoolers on the non-tech.
So the way our country's set up is it's not possible for the mass to homeschool.
Yes, what do you do then?
Right, so they've got everyone exactly where they want them. And sorry, going back to the point at the back there, community is what sorts this out, which the next question would then logically be, well, how do you form a
If
community?
you go down to school kicking off, you let them get banged up, who pays your fucking mortgage and all that, what can we do?
Precisely. So,
Why do you think the government are going back to court for this 1,700 asylum seekers going to the military base, Weatherfield, to ask for permission? Because the people of that area were educated yesterday by a certain person that, first of all, it is military only. The council did not have change of use. The council didn't have permission from the MOD to use it for them people. Therefore, the MOD, I'm going to let you into this. The MOD, within 5 days' time, are going to evict them there because they're trespassing on military property. Watch.
sure, no, I'm aware of the situation at, sorry, it's Wakefield.
100%.
Yeah.
They're going to
It's just been
evict
decided, of course. It's just been decided to go to a jury. I think this lad's Franny's question's a really important one for you, Nick, because sorry mate, because it's like we've got to get to the nuts and bolts of how we actually change things. We know what the problems are, right? So we've got to get to answering the question: what do we do? Because we've all got these things, we've got these issues, we've all got these big problems. How do we actually solve them? I know there's not just one answer, but we've got to work out. That's the whole point of having people in this room. We've got to work out what we can actually do, and we all do activism. You know, like you say, you're preaching to the choir here because we all do activism. But that question is the question of the hour. What do we actually do to change this?
Sure. So, like I said right at the start, following what Richard said, and then what I've got planned here, and then the fact that I could do this literally all day, every day, nuts and bolts stuff, people are going to have to put their hand in their pocket, they're going to have to support. I mean, the basis of community is funding, right?
I get it. If we end up kicking off somewhere, if you're getting banged up, who pays your fucking mortgage? Because that's what they'll do, they'll bang you up.
So I mentioned smart activism, which again, I want to kind of come back to, but it's not a. Your question is perfect, but it's not a straight answer.
100%.
It's smart activism.
Smart activism, mate. If you can stand at a sort of shot kicking off and all that, the old bill will bang you. Some left field fucking go bad again. You can stand there and you can go, right, you fucking blue-eyed prick, and you get banged up.
They can do what they
Yeah,
want.
that's what I mean. So what do we do? You know, we all want to kick off and go fucking mad about it, but we get banged up. Who pays your fucking mortgage?
But kicking off and
I've
going.
done it myself.
Yeah,
I've been banged up. You know what I mean? All that.
Kicking off and going and getting banged up.
That's not kicking off. But mate, but just by having a bit of passion and saying something, if you get banged up, who the fuck pays your fucking kid's mortgage?
Don't get banged up.
It's not. we're all talking about it, we're all doing the same thing, but there's got to be something we can do.
We can dissolve Parliament.
You know what I mean?
We launched our campaign directly. We launched our campaign directly against Drag Story Hour. So take transgenderism in school, right, and take that as a big head of a big snake. Drag Story Hour is a bit more minor, a bit more Mickey Mouse. So we went after that. We've been running that campaign for 5 months. We've done 8 demos. We've had, I think, 2 unfortunate arrests on our side for hate speech, right? The left have had at least north, but he shouldn't have said what he said, at least north of 15 arrests on their side. We all know about 2-tier policing, but if you don't break the law, and if you are smart about it,
If you go man, clear yourself to a road, yeah, they're not so if you stand in the shop with the front of the kid, you get nicked. And like, we're all mates and all that, we're all being banged up, and it was, oh yeah, sound, after 2 months, you know what I mean, you forgot about, you know what I mean? And they will nick us if we went to a school going mad or anything, they would nick us, all of us, bang us up, and you forgot about it.
So let me give you the compare and contrast. I haven't yet seen, so take Bately Grammar for example, right? 50 of them were able to do what they did, right? And then the school teacher probably still has a degree of protection, okay? And that was what, 20, 21?
You want to do it, we need a complete legal team. That's what we need properly.
Well, if anyone's going to say common sense stuff like that, I'm going to say, right, it needs to be funded then. Which means... I don't want to talk too much about money, because obviously everyone's...
The only person done is Jackson, he gets banged up, you know, he's the only person that we all fucking follow and says the shit, you know what I mean?
What I want to say is that if you take Bately Grammar as a prime example, we run the exposés. There are a few other groups that run similar exposés, but I think we have done the best job, without doubt, because of our media capabilities. I have not yet seen a school in the UK with a load of concerned fathers outside protesting that school. Has anyone seen that?
No. You should go to jail.
No. I'm talking not that demographic. I'm saying with regards to transgenderism that is purely satanic, I have not seen one school with a group of 50 fathers outside the school demanding that someone listen. I haven't seen that yet, and I don't. But Tony, I don't believe that, and I'm not admitting defeat to that. I believe that parents, in terms of transgenderism, which is just one aspect to all this, parents have a right to do what I have said has not been done yet, and I don't believe it's been done.
Parliament in Wales have said that parents have no legal right to object to their kids being taught.
That's not enough.
Yeah, well, the situation...
1974 Criminal Justice Act states that any parent who doesn't agree to the child's education in any subject, they have the right to withdraw that child from that class.
I think what we'll do. Let's Nick finish.
Yes, sir.
Wind up Nick, and then we'll have we'll get Bravo up to speed, and then Kyle say a few words, and then we'll have a question and answer at the end. Yeah, sure. So we just kind of wrap things up, and we'll do a Q&A at the end, because it's kind of losing a bit of... No, it's not, mate. No, it's not. No, we'll do the Q&A at the end. We'll do a proper Q&A.
Remember what I said at the start? I want to make this as interactive as possible, but it has to be solutions-based, not problems-based, okay? Nothing's impossible. So, again, I'll wrap it up here. So, what I said at the start, there's that which we can control and that what we cannot. And unfortunately, we are going to have to go back to basics with regards to what is satanic, what is the liberal centre ground, what is New World Order. For everyone that talks to me about CBDC, do it all day long. You're not going to fucking stop it. Trust me, digital currency, cashless, you're not going to stop it, but you can control things at state level. And that starts with community. That starts with discussions, that starts with talking, that starts with ideas, but it has to be smart, because this is not 2010 or 17 or the 90s or the 80s. It's simply not, because we know about two-tier policing, and we know about the far left has now infiltrated Labour. The far left in Britain, which represents the #1 threat to national security in 2023, has infiltrated the the Labour Party, which has its foot in Westminster. It's the Labour Party. Unions funding it, RMT. It's all part of the. How do you explain universal basic income, UBI? How do you explain that being trialled in Wales? Of course it is. Why is there no opt-out for children in Wales with regards to RSHE? Why? There are testing sites and breeding grounds for all of this. So we need to start. We need to forget about CBDC. We need to forget about New World Order. Forget about UBI. We need to forget about the stuff that you absolutely. The number one thing. Well, okay. So this goes back to what we said earlier on. So maybe I wait until the Q&A. But I believe we are going to have to form some sort of hierarchy within all these different organisations to start building these different communities that is based on common sense and it's based on family, faith, freedom, which is what the new right will stand for. So we talk about this isn't about right or left politics anymore. Unfortunately, the price of milk and the price of eggs is politics, guys. So for everyone who says, nah, it's just about religion for me, it's not about politics, well, that might have worked 5-10 years ago, but it doesn't work anymore. So the two sides of the same coin cannot be beaten, and Reclaim and Reform can go and give it a good crack, and yeah, go for it. Are they going to win? No, and that's not me being derogatory. They're not going to win. Are they going to get a few seats? Are they going to get a few seats? Sure, why not? Whatever. Look at the majority we had under Boris. How do you squander that? How do you lose that? All that is left, the question of how, the question of why, the what, when, yeah, community. It's coming together, it's not getting banged up, it's not saying anything stupid, it's letting go of what was when I was a kid, and that piece in time where there's a few bits and pieces from a few people, that is not smart activism. And there was hatred in there. That is not what this is about. So going back to what the lady said earlier on, I have met with imams. I do this all the time. They don't want to know. They don't want to know. They do not want to know. So you can forget that demographic. I wanted to see a range of skin colours here. I don't see it. I want to see a range of faith. I don't know, some of you may be Hindu, Sikh, Muslim. It doesn't affect me at all. It doesn't affect my faith at all. So this is about winning hearts and minds at street level, at community level, and putting into the calendar, into the household diary, once a month, on a Saturday. Do you think we're ever going to run anything on a Monday morning? Of course we're not, because no one's going to be there. We'll do it on a Saturday. You need numbers there. Then the media notice. Then the government have to take notice. The two-tier policing isn't over yet. The government isn't over yet. The media's not over yet. So we can slate them all day, every day. It's simply not true that it is all completely encompassed now. It's not the case. Smart activism is the way to go. So I believe, coming onto the house, I believe that we all need to come together. All the different groups now need to come together. Leaders have to be appointed. Community leaders have to be appointed. And matters has to be taken into our own hands along the lines of smart activism and only smart activism.
With the left, they've got the money and they're getting noticed. What they're doing, that stop all and all that. All of say, no one will fund us to go and make that statement.
We don't have coaches.
But Just Stop Oil is a fantastic example. We know.
They're running for the university, the unions come from the university, upwards and onwards. We're going to lose the battle from day one.
So this goes back to Richard's fantastic intro. Again, I'm not going to get out of bed every morning with that mentality because I know what you're saying.
I've been fighting this for the last 5 years.
I understand that, but we can't give.
There's people willing to do it, get out of bed and do it on a Monday and that, though, you know what I mean? There's people willing to do it, but
it's the biggest thing they've had.
After a bit, all of a sudden you do this when it's something that's falling.
But the mindset, guys, it's all about education. It's all about education. It's all about mindset. Everything. So if it's New World Order, CBDC, two-tier policing, all the stuff, communism. I've covered the universities. There's become a communist sticker on flat. I'm always travelling. They're openly flying to become a communist in the UK. I mean, how many more lampposts? Reading, Aldershot, Bristol, Sussex. So you think, oh, it's quite an affluent area. Lewisham, I did 10 kilometres of walking around Lewisham. It's all big houses with brass knobs. It's Cherry Tree Lane. It's money. It's liberal narcissistic personality disorder. When I went on GB News with Lawrence, with 50,000 views, Twitter storm over it. Call it as it is. And we talk about working class, we talk about middle class. I don't care about any of that. This is now about common sense meets smart activism meets organisation. And for that, you are going to have structure, you're going to have hierarchy, and people are going to have to support, whether it's £2 a month, which everyone, I'm on the breadline, everyone can afford that. But it's about coming together. we talk about communities and building communities outbound, where is everyone, but in here as well, within leadership, whether we talk about football, whether we talk about veterans. Are you guys aware of how the veterans en masse have largely rejected what we're doing at the moment? Are you guys aware of this? They've largely rejected what we're doing. They've largely rejected what we're doing. The bike.
They can't get Mercer himself to back them themselves or something fucking wrong.
Right. So we know that there is still a demographic of at least a million, at least a couple million, that is saying no to transgenderism in schools, no to radical gender theory, no to the far left. We know that that demographic exists. So the nuts and bolts and the ABC, I can talk through one-to-one with anyone, but in this forum, it is going to have to be about people saying, I'm going to support that cause, both at street level and via subscription. It's going to have to, and there's no reason why that can't all join together, and it doesn't just have to go into one particular place, but that is the way forward here. That's how everything starts. And by not doing anything stupid. I've made that point a couple of times, but I'm going to finish on that note. If you do something stupid, guess what's going, you know the system, you know what we're up against, so guess what's going to happen? It's not endorsed, it's not okay, and it's not smart either. So it's not, when I opened up, guys, I said there's quite a lot on the agenda here, you know what I mean? Like, I haven't even touched on immigration. Our big thing is transgenderism, which is completely satanic. Telling little Jimmy that he might be a girl, or telling little Sophia that she might be, you know, a boy, for example. It's as sick as it gets, and it is a far left ideology. So parents getting up and doing something about the schools, great. You go stand outside a hotel if you want. Guess where the orders come from to fill the hotels? Where do the orders come from? The Home Office. You're gonna go challenge the Home Office? What, get yourself on a list? Great idea, go for it. Say something stupid, go for it. That's not smart. So unfortunately, the mentality is going to have to change and shift. And my concern is that the main demographic that is going to back these ideas we're talking about is post-millennial. I've covered the Zs. It's gone. There's a few that are left. There's a few that are left. So the millennials, X's, the boomers, and what's left of the war, in terms of demographics, the mindset has got to change now. It's going to have to change. So, but I'm more interested now in doing a Q&A once we're, and we'll find out what you guys want and what your ideas are as well. But I'll always be willing to talk, guys.
I want to bring Bravo up here. I don't know if many of you, come on up, Bravo. Bravo is a veteran, so give him He served in almost every conflict since the early 2000s. Iraq, Afghanistan, Kosovo. I did Northern Ireland. He went around the world and fought. So, you know, he's a veteran. Give him a round of applause. And he's written a book. He's written a book about PTSD and his struggles with PTSD, and almost every veteran will be able to identify with that if they've actually seen active service. And also, not just veterans, there's many people in the normal population suffer from PTSD for various different reasons, whether it's violent events that went through as child, or, you know, lots and lots of, especially in the working class. So it's a very important book. So Bravo, just give a few words about what you've been up to, mate.
First of all, I want to thank everybody for coming from there. Ladies and gentlemen, everybody for coming. Fantastic speech from Nick. I won't touch on what Nick said because it's not what I'm here to talk about. But yeah, I was a veteran. There's one thing that hasn't been mentioned today, and that's about homeless veterans.
Yeah.
One thing that hasn't been mentioned is okay, and where does the war end? It doesn't ever end, it's always in your head. Okay, the war's always in your head, for everybody, whether you've been assaulted, whether you've been to war, whether you've been a sexual assault victim, unfortunately, whatever. There's always someone somewhere that suffers from mental health and post-traumatic stress disorder. Okay, 100%. I'm also a football lad as well. Okay, so, but that's relevant. Not the relevant now to the Premier League, but what I'd like to say is, yeah, I've wrote two books. The first book is called When War Follows You Home. The first book will be called When War Follows You Home. I think there's some people there with some blue hair or something, I'm not sure. The first book's going to be called When War Follows You Home. We're looking at September release date. When War Follows You Home. There's a Facebook page, Close Publishing. There'll be a second book to follow that. all it's about is, it's not just about me. It's not just about me. It's about dealing with mental health issues, PTSD, which I think everybody in the world can relate to, and to follow that will be something else, as was mentioned earlier, i.e. homeless veterans, which I think everyone disagrees with what Nick spoke about earlier. So that's all I've got to say in a minute. Please follow me on Facebook, Close Publishing. Richard's going to help me do a YouTube video. So yeah, that's all I've got to say really. I'm not going to say where I've been, what I've done. Richard mentioned half of it. Yeah. Half of it. Say again, mate? The second book's not released, is not released for the first, so let's get the first one out first. Yeah. When War Follows You Home. When War Follows You Home is going to be called the first book's going to be called When War Follows You Home now. Close Publishing on Facebook. It's going to go viral. Richard's going to help me. A lot of other people are going to help me. But it's literally to do with why you go through that system. And once again, I'd like to thank everybody for being here. And thank you, Richard.
Thank you, Bravo, and I'm going to bring Kyle up in a minute to say a few words. And Nick touched on something there when he was talking about community. And community is actually not about giving money to anything. Community is about building friendships and building close friendships. And in the past 6 years, what we've done between the football lads, between people that have followed Tommy's demonstrations, other Brexit demonstrations, and all the demonstrations that we've been involved in for the past 6 or 7 years, we have built a community. And sometimes it fights with each other, sometimes we argue, sometimes we fall out, but we love each other because we are the community, and we're the only community there is that's doing this, and we've got to build that community even stronger and make it bigger and bigger so it's a mass movement, and that's what we're going to do. This today is the start of a mass movement, and you are the community, you all know each other, you all love each other. Get up for Kyle Breacher.
I've got nothing wrong or anything like that. So basically, first of all, I'd like to touch on what this guy was saying there. Basically, you say what can we do to sort of like, you know, for the children's education and all that. What they're doing in America is that they're going peacefully, calmly, and just like with a bit of education and this that and the other themselves, going into the schools and asking the question, what's going on? You can't get arrested for doing any of that. If you put, hear me out, please. If you keep it at that level and you go and ask just a serious question, what's going on with my child's education? I want to know, and then you can sort of confront them in a certain way. It's all about how you confront them.
Like your Farages, Tommy's, all that.
Yeah, but let's set that aside now. You've got to put that aside. You've got to focus from you and what you want to do for your child.
Can
and if we all.
I was going to say, so my boy starts school this September. He's had 3 starter days. I've probably already got a red flag on my head because I've asked the reception teacher when they start RSHE. I've been told it's year 5 and year 6, so he goes through from year R to year 6. Yeah. I've been told it will start in year 5 and year 6, but by God, I am going to be asking every year he goes up if there's anything. So when it comes to year 5, the first question I'm going to ask, or at the end of year 4, is I want to see the RSHE and I want to see it now. But obviously you can do
that. So. You can do that, and if enough people do it, it's all about how many get behind it. If enough people do it, they have to act. The reason they're getting away with what they're getting away with is because we're in such a small minority. The people are speaking out, but the more people that speak out, the more they have to act. Do you understand? The other thing I want to just touch on really is, like, no one's saying or asking the question for me, which I saw it a couple of weeks ago, and it stayed with me, it stayed profound with me, is no one's asking, why is it just drag queens that are going to do these story hours? Why aren't trans men going to do these story hours? Do you understand? It's always women, men dressed as women scantily, performing basically in front of children.
They've got their own clubs for that.
That's what I'm saying. It's adult sort of entertainment taken to the kill, and that's where it becomes satanic. That's what it's about. One second. So again, with the literature in the schools, everybody's got to go into the schools. Parents with children who are in the school system now, they'll ask the question. Everyone's going to start asking the question: what's in our libraries, and why is it there? That's what's going to be done. I'm in fear for what's happening now because it seems like en masse people aren't standing. Well, this is what I'm saying. Why is a woman who is trans, whatever, into a male, why aren't they doing the story hours? But why is it just the drag queens? So we can see the agenda. We've just got to start calling it out en masse.
But the thing is though, they're not just dressing up as women, they're dressing up as prostitutes.
Yes. Yeah, but they're dressing. Yeah, it's all sexual. It's all sexual. Yeah, it's all sexual, and that takes it. And above that, it's satanic. We've got to know that. So basically, that's all I wanted to do. It's just to make people aware of that, and also that we are going to start, getting together and communicating, so we can all say, right, okay, well, where are you? You need to get people in your area to start just confronting in the right way, not so we all get arrested or anything like that. There's no need to get arrested, because then once that happens, then you're looked upon and the issue is lost.
Yeah.
Do you understand? It becomes a different.
In the right direction, you're getting.
I understand that, but you can still do it. Honestly, you can still do it. Especially that. And that's basically all I wanted to say anyway. So, thank you very much.